at this. Lovely. Right, well in that case, order, hello there and welcome to VR Courtroom. Judge Ekron sitting to hear the crimes against Miss Z, who I'm going to refer to as Miss Z from this point. Mr. Bailiff, would you please bring me 2 charge sheets from the wall over there at your discretion, and we shall find out what Miss Z is accused of.
Can't wait for it. Can't wait to see what I've done.
Lovely. Oh, okay, these are... Okie dokie, so we have 2 charges here. If I could please have attention in the courtroom, that means the lawyers shut up, especially you, but especially you, but especially you. So I have 2 charge sheets in front of me here. One of these is the more serious charge, and one is the lesser charge. The lawyers, once I finish talking, will be invited into my chambers to discuss the charges so they are aware of the very basic facts of the case. The 2 charges that Miss Z is facing are the charge of tax evasion and the charge of stupidity. Now, these are 2 obviously very serious charges. Excuse me. But I have decided that the more serious of the 2 charges here, and the ones that I would like the lawyers to focus their case around, is the stupidity charge. So, Miss Z, bearing in mind the charges that you are accused of, how do you plead to the charge of tax evasion, Miss Z?
Not guilty.
Not guilty, and a plea of not guilty has been entered to the court. And Ms. Z, how do you plead to the charge of stupidity?
Guilty.
Ms. Z, I strongly suggest that you don't plead guilty to a case. Mr. Fenn, if you would like to speak to your client to remind her that she's a fucking idiot, I would appreciate that. So we'll start over. Ms. Z, how do you plead to the crime of stupidity? Try again.
Not guilty.
Very good. Well, in that case, then we shall proceed to a bench trial. In this case, this will be a criminal trial, as I've decided that stupidity is a very serious crime that you could be executed for. Yes, you could be executed for stupidity. So, lawyers, I would like you to focus heavily on the stupidity charge, linking the tax evasion in, as you can do. I will explain in the judge's chambers the basic information of the court case. So, with that being said, I do believe it's actually time to begin our court case, which is always good news. So, I did entirely forget the order I said I was going to do things, so I'm going to ask Mr. Phenelius to take a stand in the black circle and present his opening statement to the courtroom. You will be given a minute, which you can see on these lights here, so basically when it turns green, which is now, you may begin.
The case brought against my client, Madam Z, is one regarding... this is intentional, don't worry. I do actually have a notepad, but okay, one sec. It's alright, take my time, that's fine. Charges for tax evasion and second degree tax evasion and first degree stupidity. This being the case, and the defendant has pleaded not guilty to both charges. We believe this to be the case due to... actually, I'm not even going to say that. Basically, you're all stupid. End of. Bye.
Was that his opening statement?
One of the first times, thank you, Mr. Ham. That's one of the first times that I've been called stupid by a lawyer who hasn't lost his case yet. So, a brave opening statement there, Mr. Phenelius, but an opening collection of interesting words nonetheless. Thank you. Mr. DMP, if you'll be kind enough to take a step into the circle and present your opening statement to the court. When the light up here turns green, you may begin. You see the light? I'm sure you do.
No, it's not lighting up for me.
Well, your time started, so off you go. You've got a minute.
Okay. Your Honor, she's guilty. And I'll tell you why. At the beginning, she pleaded herself guilty. No, shut up. Did not get permission to talk, but I would like to bring up a point. A, and my argument, she pleaded herself guilty. B, she doesn't even know how to sit right.
What the fuck?
He's got a point. If you look up. My apologies. My My apologies, Mr. DMP. Anything else in your opening statement? 10 seconds, Mr. DMP.
I'm here to win.
Here to win. I like the way you think. And in that case, then, thank you, lawyers, for your opening statements. 2 fairly interesting opening statements. The first time round, somebody basically pointing out a possible disability on the accused, and the first time I said I'd been called stupid by a lawyer who hasn't yet lost his case. So, fair enough. I'm genuinely looking forward to this one greatly. So, what's going to happen now is we're going to move on to the presentation of the full and frank case. I will allow lawyers to ask the accused questions to a certain extent. However, the accused will be allowed to refuse to answer questions if she desires. Jury take into consideration the answers the accused does give, as well as their refusals when it comes to deciding. So, Mr. DMP, as the prosecuting lawyer, I'm going to ask you to step into the circle and present your full and frank case, bearing in mind that you have to tell me the letters/numbers. I don't remember if you had letters or numbers, personally, of your evidence, so we can bring it up on the big, shiny screen. That one, yes. So, in your own time, Mr. DMP, there's no time pressure here. You may begin.
So I say, like, letters, right? Because I'm pretty sure I had the A through D.
Then yes, you say A through D if you have letters. I don't remember who has what. That's my fault. I haven't lawyered in here myself.
Okay. So... yeah. A.
Evidence number A. Once I get this working. There we go.
Don't mind the RPG.
Your Honor.
Are you planning to use your tablet, or may I use that to view the evidence?
Use the tablet. Use the tablet. Carry on, Mr. DMP. Please do talk about this piece of evidence. Let us know what it is and how it relates to the case.
Alright. So, Mrs. Z, this, it's a death certificate that clearly...
I can't see it.
Clearly has your name written on it. Now, I did a bit of background research. Turns out your mom's hamster's goldfish died 3 years ago. And you were in charge of writing its death certificate, okay? Why would you put your own name on it? Unless you did that so you wouldn't have to be targeted for doing your tax. Because if they think you're dead, you won't have to do your tax. See, this is a 2-in-1 evidence piece. A, you're stupid for putting your own name on it. 2, you're trying to evade the tax by making them think you're dead.
Okay, if you're ready to move on, let me know.
Case B.
B.
Or, evidence B, sorry. Number.
No,
Alright, see what this is?
no, I don't. I
An
can't.
RPG.
Blank table.
That's what it's for. Just for this. Carry on, Mr. DMP.
Surveillance camera of the nearest Walmart showed you with this. Just the only thing is, that's stupid. A, how would you even get this? Why would you steal it? And why would you even want it? It's stupid to own one of these things. You could blow up anything. Yourself, even. C.
I'll just point out the jury in this particular case, just so you're aware, Mr. Hayborough, you don't ask any questions of what's going on, you just observe and take information in. I apologise, I should have explained the role of the jury during the explanation, so my fault. Evidence number C. There you are, my friend, lawyer person. Evidence number C.
Alright. This was found on your body. A grenade. But not just any grenade. It's a live one that has the pin somewhat out. Surveillance camera at your nearest McDonald's showed you... Hold on. Oh, crap. Pulling that pin. And you were pulling the pin like it was a freaking... I need to put this right here real quick. There we go. Thank you. There we go. Pulling the pin as if it was a relief toy. Get a fidget spinner or something. Don't try and pull the pin off of a grenade, you idiot.
Mr. DMP, only I may insult people in this courtroom, you fucking dick. Carry on.
Also, the nearest IRS tax building, or whatever the heck you want to call it, saw you try to throw it into their building. Meaning that if I have your mindset correct, which I can see people's minds, I know. I'm
Mr.
Obama,
DMP.
I see all.
I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 10. What number am I thinking of?
7.
7. Mr. DMP can mostly see parts of people's minds, more so probably just the weird abstract parts of it. But he cannot comprehend all of the information, especially that may be deeply consumed in the mind of the accused. The answer was 10. Carry on, Mr. DMP.
Okay. Which means, if I'm correct, you were trying to blow up the tax building, so then they would have to come after you. Because why pay your taxes when you can just blow it up? D.
This reminds me of Phoenix Wright.
I have one thing to say about this. Why do you need that big of a mousetrap? The people who made it are an idiot for making it that big. You're an idiot for buying something that big. You know, when push comes to shove, what do you want to catch within a groundhog? Oh, frick.
I assume the throwing of your tablets, that being court property, which will be charged for which is damage, does indicate that you finished your case. Is that correct, Mr. DMP?
Yes, I went to throw it on the table and it fell.
Well, that's fair enough, and I thank you, Mr.
Dearest
DMP,
apologies.
for your case. I must admit, for the first time round, I'm pleased that you took my advice in relation to how to present your evidence that you asked for. That was a very well-presented case for the first time you've ever been in VR courtroom. That's a lot better than I've seen a lot of lawyers who've been in here a lot. So, well done, Mr. DMP, and thank you for your case. Mr. Fernelius, I must admit I was thoroughly disappointed with your lack of objections, but I now offer you the floor to prove why you are so much more effective and better a lawyer than Mr. DMP. Mr. Fernelius, it's time to prove that your client is incredibly innocent of the crime she's accused of. The floor is yours, and you may spend as much time as you so desire. Off you pop, my friend.
Believe me, it's not a problem. The reason there was a lack of objections was because as soon as I started seeing the prosecution digging his hole for his grave, I just let him carry on going. Right, let's move on to his evidence of 1. Let me just address that first of all. He says it was an RPG, if I remember correctly. Can we move to his? Can we see that? So, all I have to say is, how was my client identified when we are currently wearing masks? How does he know it was stolen? There's no way we can know it was stolen or identified.
When I say I might interrupt you, that means I'm going to talk over you and you're going to shut up. The whole point of objections are to object pieces of evidence that Mr. DMP brings up. So if you'd wanted to object about the RPG and how you could prove...
Oh, fine, not a problem. I'll just use my evidence. It completely trumps his. No problem. Let's just move over all his insignificant evidence.
Mr. Fernelius, you're becoming very aggressive, and I'm the only one that's allowed to be an aggressive dick in this courtroom. Bitch. Look, just because I ran a kingdom full of birds that people wanted to join, and we had mechanical ways to get people over the wall, even though the castle was hostile to us, and we forced the castle occupants out, just because I was in charge of the bird empire, doesn't mean that you can be jealous about it, you little bitch. So, now that you know that, and I remember that, you might not, but I remember the good old days of Gary's Mod when we roleplayed the bird empire. Oh my god, you wouldn't believe it, I found some footage from around that time era. I've actually got to look at it. I found it on a hard drive. Like, oh my god. But anyway, point in hand.
Is this relevant to the case?
As it's completely not relevant. I'm just bitching at you. But you need, if you're going to refer to his evidence, you need to do it when he is bringing it up, not after the case is done. So let's move on with your evidence, Mr. Fernelius.
Not a problem.
We will not refer back to his for now. So.
Not a problem. Let's move on to my evidence. My first evidence. I don't know what number it is. Brilliant. As you can see here, it is an accounting book. This book is one of the books which my client has used and studied with, so it is obvious that due to owning this book and rereading it multiple times under the supervision of many tutors, that they are capable of the basics at least, and the advanced stuff mostly, in accounting, which includes, at a basic level, taxes.
Mr. DMP. Okay, I was going to let you finish that sentence. Mr. DMP, your objection, if you will, please.
So, just because somebody has read through a book of whatever subject does not necessarily mean that they have that down. Where is your proof that she knows what she's doing with whatever content in this book is?
Mr. Fenelius, can you rebuff Mr. DMP's point? Perhaps by asking your client to talk about taxes and accounting in some form.
Okay, sure. Miss C, would you confirm or deny that several tutors in your education have validated your skill level in the accounting field?
Yes.
Miss Z.
Over and done with. Okay, evidence too.
Mr. Fenelius. Miss Z, you must excuse me. I'm a robot. I don't understand accounting. I had my maths chips removed so I could get more killing chips installed. Can you explain to me the percentage differences in relation to an income of $12,000 versus an income of $275,000 in the year 2017? We'll go with, please.
Absolutely. The answer is 42%.
42%. And is that a reference to what I think it's a reference to?
Yes, it is, Your Honour.
Very well, Miss C. Well, before we carry on, I must ask you, is it also a heads or a tails?
It's a tails, Your Honour.
Very well, I can confirm that 42% is the correct answer, and therefore Miss C does appear to have some form of accounting background. However, we cannot guarantee that this is a high level. It may be a basic high school level, but that was an incredibly good save, all things considered. Mr. Fenelius, you may carry on with your case. To the new people that have entered the room, I know you're accepting your friends. Please behave, because if you don't, I will kick you out of the room. Yes, I'm looking at you, demonic Thomas. Carry on, Mr. Fenelius. Carry on.
Okay, can we go to evidence number 2, please?
Evidence number 2 on the
Okay, what you see here is a computer. The computer that was used to file the taxes. This also goes hand in hand with evidence 3 and in theory 4, but you can swap to 3 real quick and not 4, thank you. What you see there is actually a receipt for service, which means that when the files were when the taxes were filed on the computer in evidence 2, they emailed a receipt and also sent one via post, which is what you see in evidence 3. This shows that the taxes were done, and stupidity-wise, which is the more serious offence, which is what I'm seeing here, may have merely been an oversight on your part, or the prosecution's part, when I say your. Can we move to evidence 4, please? Oh, yes. When you check the taxes, and all of the references to expenditures and other such things, I'm not an expert, but Miss C is, you will see that everything matches this one particular card, as the majority of all purchases were made on this particular card, as that is her main card. That's all I have to say.
Okay, so you're resting your case.
I will vamoose.
Oh, objection, sorry. Sorry, I had my mic muted.
I will allow that objection. I know it was the last second, but I will allow the objection, Mr. DMP. If you
Yeah,
go
I
ahead.
had my mic muted when I first said it.
Fair enough.
So, does it have all of her personal information on it? That is my question. Does it state specifically that it is her and that is not a stolen card?
Sorry. Yes, can you rephrase that? You just said, does it? What is it?
The evidence.
The credit card, I assume, is what
Can
you're
you
referring to.
Evidence for the...
verify it's hers? Oh, frick.
Well, if you reach into your own wallet and get out your card, it will have your full name, account number, and sometimes it has address on it, so I will leave that into your court.
Mr. Phineas. Mr. Halinex, would you please
Can I have a
fetch
moose?
the evidence of podium number 4 and bring it to me? Mr. Cornelius, you really should have gone for a heads and tails, but we'll have a look and see what comes up. It may still be a heads or tails, we'll see. Quite an interesting court case, I must admit. I know I say I'm thoroughly enjoying all court cases, but I am actually really enjoying this one because both lawyers have obviously thought about what they're doing very carefully. Thank you, Mr. Alex. Let me have a...
Am I really?
This. You know what? I think you have. Right, let's have a nosy. Mr. Cornelius, what is the surname of Miss Z?
I believe you just said it.
You're saying Miss Z is her surname, so her name is Sass Z.
No. Miss Sass Space Z, yeah.
Miss Sass Space Z. Okay, I do feel it's a little bit unfair to call this entire court case based on what this card actually says. So, Mr. Cornelius, would you like a heads or a tails, my friend? He says as he drops the coin. Oh well.
I would like a heads, please.
A heads, right. Let me just break my neck and beep boop, beep boop, beep boop, boop. Right, okie dokie then. So, according to my deciphering skills, this is written in hieroglyphics, which is something somebody who is fairly intelligent might do, or somebody who is incredibly fucking stupid might do. But it does indeed say Miss Sass Z on this card. It may not belong to this exact Miss Sass Z, but under the circumstances, we can believe it's hers. Thank you for your objection, Mr. DMP, and thank you for your case, Mr. Cornelius. If you call mistrial, Mr. DMP, I will take you here out and have you castrated by a raging bull holding a fucking soldering iron sellotape to its horns. So, thank you kindly, lawyers, for your cases. It's been a genuinely interesting one to hear. I'm going to move on to the amendments section. As I mentioned, amendments are any changes you may want to make to your court case, having heard evidence from both lawyers. You do not have to... I'm going to point out it's incredibly stupid for the accused to throw around court equipment in a case where they're on trial for stupidity. Take note, jury. You do not have to make any amendments if you do not.
I'm trying to flip it over, right? Just.
Well, you were trying to flip it over.
You will not suffer any punishment for not making amendments, and I must do them. So, Mr. DMP, do you have any amendments you wish to make to your case? No is a very acceptable answer.
No.
Very well. Mr. Cornelius, do you have any amendments you wish to make to your case? No being an incredibly acceptable answer.
No.
Very good. Normally the person who just made their case doesn't have any, so that's totally understandable, which means we're going to move on to the last part of court that lawyers have part in. That is the closing statements. Closing statements, as I mentioned, are short and concise statements about your case. You may refer to your evidence, although it won't be brought up on the screen. I should have turned that off by now. And you may refer to the case and the evidence the other lawyer has brought up. You have 2 minutes to get your final words in as to why the accused is/is not guilty, and I thank you, Ms. C, for hanging around for the duration of the court case. So, I am going to allow the prosecution to make his closing statement first. So, Mr. DMP, when you are ready, please stand in the circle, and I will let you know when your time begins. Your time begins now.
Wait, hold on. Could you repeat that? Again, audio issues.
That's absolutely fine. You're making your closing statements now. So, do you remember what closing statements are?
I mean, obviously it's a statement that you do at the end, but...
That's what you're doing. So now you must sum up your court case. You may refer to the evidence you presented and the evidence Mr. Cornelius presented, and basically you're trying to persuade the judge and the jury whether they are guilty or not. So that's what you're doing. So you have 2 minutes starting from now. Off you pop.
Okay. So I still say guilty, obviously. So, for all my evidence shows that either she tried to destroy a government building for taxes, or just stupid for filing her own death or whatnot. Well, he might have shown, yeah, that she got it done, but who's to say that none of that could have been forged? Depending on how skilled somebody is at certain. Just because you're stupid does not mean you don't have a certain skill. Who's to say she doesn't have the skill to be able to accurately forge something? And as for the book, again,
objections and closing statements, Mr. Cornelius? Mr. DMP, unless you're finished. You don't have to take the 2
I'm finished.
Okay, thank you for your closing statement, Mr. DMP. Very useful. Mr. Cornelius, you will only get a minute since you objected in closing statements, and I'm not in a friendly mood right now since you've been incredibly rude.
Not a problem.
Mr. Cornelius, you have 1 minute for your closing statement, beginning now.
I'd like the court to consider that my client is not guilty due to the complete lack of evidence held together by false accusations. In a court of law, it is obvious that the evidence is completely blown out of proportion. Okay? Not only that, but it seems that the prosecution doesn't even know what evidence they're presenting, as they seem to have my client in several places at once, and it's just completely fucking up in air, you know? That's it.
Okay, a good sprightly 30 seconds. Well, that was good. I quite like it when statements don't go on. This timer is great. I can make you actually stick to a time scale. It's brilliant, he says, that he can't stop it. So, in that case, the lawyers are done, and I thank you both, Mr. DMP. I was very pleased with your first court case presented. As I said, it was a lot better than a lot of the court cases I've seen. And Mr. Cornelius, you did not disappoint in your presentation, although I suggest you work on that attitude somewhat at all. In fact, this has been one of the more enjoyable court cases I've seen in quite a while because I haven't been doing many. But now we move on to the fun bit, which is where the jury is going to go and deliberate. I would do a judge's summary, but I don't do judge's summaries for this because I don't want to sway the jury. So, Mr. Sprett, you are the designated talky person for the jury. So, Mr. Hallinex, I would like you to escort the jury into the same room where you selected the accused from, and they will be given up to 15 minutes to deliberate their answer. They do not have to come back with an agreement. If you are split halfway down the middle, you can come back and I will make the final call based on what I've heard, but you do have to deliberate. Mr. JMP is a mute and will not communicate with you, so in regards to him, you will have to figure out how his vote goes. I suggest one... Order in the court, order in the court. The jury has returned. So now we get to find out what's been going on. So, Mr. Sprett, you are the speaker of the jury, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. Well, I don't have a set gender because I'm a robot. Mr. Sprett, has the jury come to a conclusion? Yes or no?
Yes, we have.
Very good. Is the decision a unanimous decision? That means everybody agreed.
Yes. Yes.
Very good. Well, in that case, Mr. Sprett, would you please inform the court of the jury's decision on the case?
We have concluded that Miss C is guilty of being stupid, but not guilty in tax evasion.
Oh, I see. Well, thank you so kindly, jury. That is vastly appreciated. Right. So, the jury, as you've heard, has cleared you of tax evasion. Miss Z, which is fine, you will not be put on any punishment for that. But they have found you guilty of the more serious crime, as Mr. Fenn put it, of first-degree stupidity. We are not a court of appeals, so their decision is final, and it was a unanimous decision, meaning they all thought you were pretty fucking stupid. And therefore, I find you guilty of the crime of stupidity, Miss C, and I sentence you to... Death. Oh yes, death. Don't worry about that.
Oh,
I sentence you, Miss C, to work in the Holiday Inn in Cardiff, making no money and living in the car park for the rest of your existence, ensuring that you have the best possible healthcare so that you live until you're at least 100 in pain and misery!
no.
And then we're going to kill you.
No.
Don't worry, I got this.
I'm gonna uninstall VR chat now.
Can I jail them for the time being?
Yes, send her to jail. Send her to jail. Go on, go and shoot her with a taser. We'll go through a procedure once this is done. I will explain the rules that I've been over 1,000,000 times. They've changed a bit. I know you've heard them, Mr. Fenn, but Mr. DMP, Mr. VR, whatever his name hasn't. So, Yes, at this point I'm going to politely request both lawyers join me in my chambers and everybody else remains seated and not on fire. So lawyers, if you'd be kind enough to join me in my chambers, I'd appreciate that.
Do I need to bring my lube or?
I don't think that's necessary. I've got my own. Right. Okie dokie, lawyers. So taking a seat, you have the facts of the case. Well, I'm going to give you the facts of the case. So, tax evasion and stupidity. Here's what we know. Your client, Mr. Cornelius, was found attempting to commit tax fraud by telling the government that I don't pay my taxes. That's what your client is accused of.
How is that tax fraud?
Because they didn't pay their taxes and then they said I don't pay my taxes as their excuse. So there you've got a mix of pure stupidity, because why the fuck would you say that to the government, and the charge of tax evasion yourself because you're evading paying taxes. We are running on a mostly Americanized system. This is all the information that I am willing to give you, but those facts of the case are indisputable. That is what your client is alleged to have said, and is what is on the report, and that's what they're charged with. Yes.
There is a condition. The client in question does not have much time, give or take 30 minutes or so. So we need to wrap at least this initial case over and done with quite quickly.
We're probably not going to get it done in 30 minutes, but if she leaves halfway through, she leaves halfway through.
Okay.
With the charges aren't ideal for
what
a
you could
court
do-
case.
What you could do is consider that running away from a court case and then arresting.
Well, we'll cross that one we said. But I said, they're the facts. That's what she's accused of doing. With that, I'd like you to focus on the stupidity. You may want to focus on why it's incredibly stupid to admit you did tax fraud and why you didn't focus on that.
Yeah.
And you might want to see if you can get some kind of plea agreement as to why she can't be that fucking stupid. She wasn't that stupid. She was trying to be very intelligent. These sorts of things. Although you are kind of on the back foot because she's already admitted to pleading guilty, and that's a very stupid thing to do. So what's going to happen now is the lawyers are going to be returned to the courtroom. Mr. DMP, I'll tell you quickly, when the bailiff collects you to go and put your evidence on, you will be taken to a room. You have a large selection of evidence and you have 4 podiums. A, B, C and D I think is what the defence has. And you basically put the evidence you want to show in your court case on those podiums, and then you bring it up later on by asking me. So think of a story that works for your court case, get evidence that works with that, and then just tell the story in court. Is roughly how it goes. The bailiff will go with you and give you an idea, and if he's a cunt, I'll deal with him. So are there any questions, lawyers, before we return to the glory of the courtroom?
I mean, again, I'm 16 and, don't really have a grip on most of this, so...
You don't need to know any legal terminology at all. You don't need to know anything. You just need to be able to speak, and you have a microphone, so that's fine. Right, lawyers, if you'd be kind enough to return to your seats, I would appreciate that.
All right.
I'm going to drink my coffee wherever it is. It's on the floor. I've lost it. I lost my coffee. Oh no. Where's my coffee? Where's my coffee? Okay. So we're focusing on let's say the stupidity factor. So how could we factor in a certificate of death to pure and utter stupidity? What is this? Humour me.
Well, I mean, how can you have a death certificate if you're clearly alive?
Well, perhaps she submitted this death certificate to the IRS in an attempt to defraud them into thinking that her mother was dead so she could claim her mother's pension. Thank you, Mrs. VK. Mr. VK, I don't remember. So perhaps this is evidence that she submitted a horrifically doctored and fake with spelling mistakes everywhere and the wrong name. It's got her own name on it. And this is proof that she's incredibly stupid whilst trying to defraud the IRS. Do you sort of see what I'm talking about?
Okay. Yeah.
Let's do another one. Let's say
so,
this.
I don't have... Because that's the thing that I didn't get. So, you don't have to go exactly off of what this is.
No, you have some leeway. For example, this. You could say, this is the judge's handbook. This isn't actually a piece of evidence. This is just a prop in here. But you could say, this is her notepad. Now, she doesn't understand social media, so what she does, every single time she sees a tweet or a Facebook post she doesn't like, is she writes the person's name in this notebook, and then writes her response, and then she puts it on the desk. And because the internet and Wi-Fi is everywhere, she knows that the person reads it. It is incredibly fucking stupid, but it's so effective, and that's kind of proving your point that she is a dumb fuck, and here is proof. Now, in some cases, if you're making completely outrageous claims, the other lawyer may object to it, or I may ask a question to validate it. But do you sort of get where I'm coming from here with this?
Yeah.
So I'm quite happy to give you more time to go and sort your case out and not speak to the accused. You don't have to speak to the accused. So do you want some more time to sort your evidence out and just think about it?
Okay, yeah.
Cool.
'Cause, like, I know I seem pretty stupid.
Not at
this,
all.
But like,
You don't
I
seem
know
stupid,
why,
trust
but
me.
the simplest of things. Okay. Like, it seems like the simplest of things just do not click.
No, it's like this is a genuinely quite a difficult thing to get your head around until it's explained, because it falls into kind of acting and improv, and it is genuinely quite a difficult thing. So you're not stupid for not getting it, because loads of people don't get it, and I do normally explain it. You can come out this door and come this way. And you can see that, as you can tell, I am a fairly well-respected judge. Did he come through the door, or is it locked?
Shouldn't around this time the prosecution get the conference?
The prosecution's being given a pass on that to have more time to do their evidence, because he's having some problems comprehending it. So just keep an eye on the evidence room for me, please, Mr. Halinex.
Okay.
A hand up for innocent and 2 for guilty, but that will come down to how you choose to do it, Mr. Spread the Foreman. That's the word. So, jury, if you will be kind enough to follow Mr. Halinex, you can go out the jury door as well, which is that door behind you, and you may take as long as you debate. Anybody else hanging around, I do request that the lawyers stay in this particular room, as I will as well. I have observed juries debating before, and it's genuinely interesting to listen to juries, so I'm still not going to let you go see them, but I really do enjoy watching them. But yeah, consider this a break, recess, whatever you want to call it, because that's what we're doing. So yeah, no, good case. I mean, I'm not going to say what I think personally, mainly because, like, for who's innocent or guilty, because it might still come down to me, but it was a very good case, and you should both be genuinely pleased with what you've managed to do. Ben, you thought a lot about exactly what shit you were putting out and made it very comprehensive and flowing through in a clever way. You did get lucky with some of the roles, to be fair, but that's absolutely fine, because you did, and you totally saved it with the reference. That, we do know what that reference is, so you did. You saved yourself there, because I was about to call complete and utter bullshit on what you said until you said that. That was basically the only answer you could give me that I would have accepted. Mr. DMP, your case as well was genuinely good. You took a bit more of a comical stance in the way things were going on, but there were, as Fenn pointed out, there were some flowing issues, like you brought up the grenade, for example. At that point, using it as a stress toy by pulling the pin out was fucking brilliant, because it's incredibly fucking stupid. But maybe it went a bit far to say she then went to blow up the IRS building with it, because that would imply she was smart enough to know the spelling of IRS. So maybe kind of trying to do a bit too much with a singular piece of evidence. RPG could have built on that a bit. I mean, it's kind of stupid. I mean, fucking hell, seeing someone in a subway with an RPG, how fucking stupid would they look? It's pretty stupid, but I think you do have to be somewhat intelligent to get a license to carry something like that around. I don't know how it works in the States, but I think there is a level of intelligence there required to not blow the shit out.
I don't think you can get an RPG in the States.
So in that case, if you built on that, you could have said this is an illegal thing and only stupid people would openly carry such an illegal weapon around. So it's small details like this that sort of build up, if that makes sense.
Well, I thought I did say that.
I didn't catch that myself, but maybe you did. I missed it, but I'm a judge. I miss things, which is why we have a jury as well. So we had that. What else did we have from you? Oh, we had the death certificate. To be fair, you took that as an example from me, but you put your own twist on it, which is fine. That's what the example was for you to sort of take something and twist it into your own thing, which is what you did. So, you know, it says mum's sister's brother's goldfish that died 3 years ago, but I'm going to write a death certificate myself to fool the IRS. Fucking hell, that's a really stupid way to commit tax fraud / evasion, and that, you know, that was a really good point. I'm surprised Fenn didn't object to that, but you know, the lack of objections is something that
Believe me,
happened.
like, I had an objection to every single one of the points, but the thing is, it seemed like he was digging more of a hole than what would I could have objected to.
It depends on
Like,
your
there were
jury,
so
because
many
some juries will appreciate your take of the more serious factors, and other juries will appreciate the stupidity here. Like, I know, I'm surprising, you know, you think it would be quite easy based on the cases presented, but I'm genuinely quite torn on whether she's innocent or guilty of this charge, which is why I'm quite pleased as a jury, because I've only ever had maybe 2 or 3 cases where I've honestly sat there and gone, oh god, I don't actually know. And I think I've only ever once been like, oh god, I don't actually know, I think I'm going to make a wrong decision, and actually told the people in the courtroom. That's only happened once, and This is a tough one. I honestly don't know. Although on a legal basis, I do technically know, but it's a difficult one. The last piece of evidence. What was your last piece of evidence?
Grenade, isn't it?
No, not grenade.
No,
Yeah,
a grenade I think was the third one.
Yeah, grenade was
I had death certificate, thing, grenade.
First
Use
trap.
a mousetrap.
The
Mousetrap,
mousetrap.
yeah.
Now, there was a very easy thing here that I wanted to say, but I opted not to, which was, well, it's obviously a rat trap. That's it.
That's
Just-
what I literally sent Z a message privately saying it's
And
obviously
you
a
could
rat
have said
trap.
that. It's obviously a rat trap. Why is this prosecuting lawyer not aware of the difference between a mousetrap and a rat trap? Is it suitable to be prosecuting a case like this one? You could literally call into question.
Bring up.
You could literally call into
For
question.
me, it was
his
much
ability
larger than
to
it.
lawyer.
Hold on.
It is pretty large. No, don't worry about it, Mr. VP. I know how big it is.
I gotta
but-
stand here.
Yeah, I understand your point. It is a large thing, but it's quite. You could have quite easily come back and said it's a rat trap. Now, if you said she carries this around in her
Now,
purse,
how big
and
are
when
rats
she
in your
forgets,
country?
but it's like what you could have said is, she carries this around in her purse, and when she forgets what it feels like to trap a finger in the door, she sticks her finger into it, and that would have been a really stupid
How
thing
would
to do.
how would anyone know that she carries it around in a purse? That is
And
a
that would
violation of
come
privacy,
down
and no one would
to-
ever know that.
That would come down to a numbers game or a coin toss, because we just don't know, and that's how we decide this shit.
Yeah.
Because I don't deem that an absolutely ridiculous thing to do in a case like this where she's being accused of stupidity. It's believable somebody that stupid might do that to remember what pain feels like. So it comes down to a coin toss, which does rely on luck, but that's what I would have done with that trap. I would have made up some excuse that she puts it on her toe to see if her toe would turn blue because she wants to be a smurf. Shit like that, just incredibly fucking dense shit. So, that's how I would have done it. But since they're out there deliberating, I thought I'd come and tell you, the bits that I picked up on and, point for improvement if you want to listen to me, because obviously I'm full of shit, because I like doing that anyway, because at the end of the day, I want everyone to get better at what they're doing, because then it gets more entertaining and it follows through better, and then we can have more fun, you know what I mean? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, no,
Yeah, because
I
of course, this being my first time, I have no idea what the heck I'm doing, and obviously since I'm 16, I have no idea what it's like to be in a courtroom or making any arguments.
I've never been in a courtroom either. I said, I'm a fucking bus driver, or I was a bus driver. I've got no fucking idea what
Now
I'm
you're a
doing. I just make
teacher.
one. Yeah, I work in teaching. Oh, the jury's returning. Could have everybody go back to their seat? Right, Mr. Scrap. Don't reveal the result until I actually ask you what the jury verdict is. But righto! Right.